The Foggy Library by Martha M.C. Jenkins. Elara loved the quiet hum of the Grand Central Library late at night. It wasn't truly silent. There was the sigh of the old heating system, the occasional creak of settling shelves, and the rustle of her uniform as she conducted her final rounds. Each book was a sleeping mind, each aisle a dream-filled corridor. Tonight, however, the familiar comfort was tinged with an odd sense of anticipation, a prickle at the back of her neck she couldn't dismiss. She was in the deepest, oldest section, dedicated to forgotten lore and ancient languages. A draft, colder than the rest, stirred the hair on her arms. Following it, she traced the chill to a section of shelving that seemed different. No seams, no latch, just a continuous sweep of dark oak, but the cold was emanating from behind it. Curiosity, a dangerous trait in a librarian, urged her fingers along the wood. They brushed against something, a faint indentation. She pushed. With a groan that seemed to echo from the library's very foundations, the shelf swung inward. Beyond it was not another storage closet or forgotten staircase, but a room enshrouded in perpetual mist. It wasn't like natural fog. It shimmered with an internal luminescence, swirling gently, never quite clearing. The air was still, heavy, and smelled of ozone and damp paper. Within the swirling vapor, skeletal shelves rose, laden with thin, unmarked books bound in what felt like cool, supple leather. Each one seemed to absorb the dim light, offering no clue to its contents. Elara, mesmerized, stepped inside. The mist parted slightly around her. She reached for a book, its spine smooth, almost alive. There was no title. Hesitantly, she opened it. The pages weren't paper, but something akin to dry, translucent skin. And on them, in elegant, swirling script, was a story she recognized with a jolt of horror. It was the detailed account of a tragic car accident that had occurred in the city just last week. A secret affair revealed, a life irrevocably shattered. All things the public knew bits and pieces of, but this book laid bare every motive, every hidden thought, every dark secret of the individuals involved. She closed it, heart pounding. She tried another. This one recounted a bitter betrayal in a prominent family, a will forged, a lifelong friendship destroyed. Again, every ugly truth laid bare. But then she picked up a third, and as she read, a chill far deeper than the mist permeated her bones. This book detailed the imminent downfall of a beloved public figure, a scandal set to erupt tomorrow, revealing a hidden addiction and a secret double life. This hadn't happened yet. The mist swirled, as if in recognition of her realization. These weren't histories. They were prophecies. They recounted visitors' darkest secrets, their most devastating choices, their unavoidable fates before they happened. For weeks, Elara kept the room a secret. She would slip in late at night, a silent guardian in a realm of predetermined sorrow. She watched the prophecies unfold, powerless to intervene, burdened by knowledge. She saw the petty cruelties, the grand betrayals, the quiet despairs that bloomed into public tragedies. Each book was a mirror held up to humanity's shadow self. She learned to identify the newly formed books, their leather still supple, their mist-shrouded pages waiting for her to read the next unwritten future. She never tried to alter anything, knowing the immense and terrible power held within those covers. One storm-lashed evening, the library's heavy oak doors groaned open long after closing, startling Elara from her solitary reading. A man stood silhouetted against the driving rain, water dripping from his dark coat onto the polished mosaic floor. He was gaunt, with eyes that held the haunted look of someone who hadn't slept in weeks. "Librarian?" he rasped, his voice hoarse. I'm looking for a very particular section. A room, perhaps? One that isn't on any map." Elara's blood ran cold. He knew. How? "There's nothing here that isn't public, sir," she said, trying to keep her voice steady, her hand instinctively going to the heavy brass key on her belt. He took a step forward, his eyes pleading. "Please, my name is Elias Thorne. I've heard whispers, old tales, a place where the future is written, where secrets are laid bare. My life depends on it." His desperation was palpable, a physical weight in the silent main hall. Elara hesitated. To deny him felt wrong, given the knowledge she possessed. To admit the room's existence felt like opening Pandora's box. But his eyes, full of a pain she understood, compelled her. She led him to the hidden shelf, pushed it open. The mist swirled outward, a cold, silent invitation. Elias gasped, a sound of both terror and profound relief. He moved through the mist as if drawn by an invisible thread, his hand hovering over the shelves. "My name," he whispered. "Is it here?" Elara felt a sudden, heavy dread. She had never searched for a specific name, fearing what she might find, or what she might be tempted to do if she did. Reluctantly, she began to walk the rows, her fingers brushing against the cool bindings. Then she felt it, a faint warmth, a subtle thrum beneath her touch. A small, dark book, its leather unusually rough. She pulled it out. Elias clutched her arm, his fingers digging in. "Is it mine?" Elara opened it. The script inside was denser, more urgent than others she'd read. It spoke of Elias Thorne, a respected architect, and a bridge he was designing. It spoke of a structural flaw, a single overlooked calculation, and its catastrophic consequence, the collapse of the bridge on its inauguration day, killing hundreds, including his own young daughter, who would be there to watch him cut the ribbon. It was set to happen in 3 weeks. His darkest secret, his professional failure, would become a public massacre. Elias swayed, his face ashen. "No," he breathed, a sob tearing through him. "No, please. I've checked and rechecked the calculations. It's impossible. But I felt it, this dread, this certainty." He looked at Elara, his eyes brimming with tears. "You have to burn it, please. If it's true, if it's there, burn it, erase it, save them." Elara stared at the book, then at Elias's desperate face. This was the moment. The books were unchangeable, she knew, unless they were burned. A single flame, a single act could erase a future. But what would be the cost? Would the flaw simply find another way to manifest? Would his daughter be saved only for a different tragedy to befall her? Did she have the right to play God? The mist around them seemed to thicken, pressing in, waiting. I don't know what will happen," Elara said, her voice barely a whisper. "No one has ever tried to change a prophecy." "Then be the first," Elias pleaded, falling to his knees. "My daughter, Elara. Think of my daughter. Think of those innocent lives. Isn't that worth the risk?" The weight of the decision crushed Elara. The librarian in her, the guardian of knowledge, recoiled from the idea of destroying a book, of altering fate. But the human in her, the one who had watched silent tragedies unfold for weeks, screamed at the injustice. This wasn't a petty secret. This was mass death, a child's life. She looked at the book, then at the small antique silver lighter she kept in her apron pocket, a gift from her late father. The mist swirled faster now, picking up speed, as if the room itself held its breath. "Will you promise me something, Elias?" Elara asked, her voice firming. "If I do this, you will re-examine every single calculation, every single one, until you are absolutely certain." "I swear it, on my daughter's life," he choked out, tears streaming down his face. Elara took a deep breath. With a trembling hand, she opened the book to its first page. The ominous script seemed to pulse. She flicked open the lighter. A small, bright flame sprang to life, a beacon in the swirling mist. She held it to the corner of the prophecy. The moment the flame touched the page, a shock wave rippled through the room. The mist recoiled, swirling violently, then condensed around the burning book, forming a shimmering, iridescent cocoon. A sound, like 1,000 dry whispers, filled the air, a collective gasp and sigh from the unseen volumes around them. The book didn't burn to ash like normal paper. It dissolved, turning into fleeting motes of light that vanished into the mist. In seconds, it was gone. Not even a trace of smoke remained. The mist, which had been in perpetual motion, stilled. The air grew stiller, colder, and then, slowly, warmed to the library's ambient temperature. The faint smell of ozone dissipated, replaced by the familiar scent of old paper and dust. Elias was staring at the spot where the book had been, his mouth agape. He looked at his hands, then at Elara. What? What just happened? Elara felt an immense emptiness, but also a strange lightness. "I don't know," she admitted, "but the book is gone." She felt deeply weary, as if she had just lifted a mountain. Elias looked at her, his eyes still wide with awe and disbelief, but the haunted look was replaced by a flicker of hope, a desperate, fragile spark. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you. I'm going back to the blueprints now, every single one. I won't stop until I'm certain." He turned and stumbled out of the hidden room, leaving the mist-laden doorway to slowly swing shut behind him, the old shelf groaning back into place. Elara stood alone in the silent, now still room. The other books remained, silent guardians of unknown futures. Had she saved lives, or had she simply diverted a river, only for it to carve a new, perhaps more dangerous path? She didn't know. But as she surveyed the quiet, waiting shelves, she realized her solitary vigil had changed. She was no longer just a guardian of knowledge. She was now a keeper of choices. And the perpetual mist, though still, seemed to hum with a new, unsettling potential. Her final rounds that night felt heavier, the silence deeper, as the library breathed around her, holding its breath for the future she had dared to alter.